what are we doing in the black community? The number one consumer of a Mercedes-Benz
is us.
Us. The number one consumer of a Gucci and a Louis Vuitton, us. And they don't even advertise. Why is it that in the black community, we are always the number one consumer, but we're not the number one creators?
So you just said it, the fact that there's consumers and creators. For so long, we assume success based on consumption.
Welcome back to Closing the Gap, the truth about black wealth. Of course, I'm your host, Mr. Wilbert Hamilton, owner and founder of Hamilton Wealth Advisors. I'm here with a very special guest today, Ms. Keshee Smith. Thank you, Keshee, for being here. Today, we're going to jump into a little bit of background information regarding Ms. Keshee and all the wonderful things she's involved in. This is a woman that wears many hats. She's a service provider to many different individuals and institutions. She's a mother, a daughter, a Spelmanite, and AKA a CEO, business owner, real estate developer. So she wears many hats. But she's not a jack of all trades and master of none. She has a specified skill set, an educational background to actually match up with her credentials. So very pleased to have her today, and just say thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
So let's get into it, right? Who is Keshee Smith?
Well, that's not a question I get asked often, but when I get a chance to talk about myself, I tell people, like you said, I'm a jack of all trades, but I try to master a few. I am from a small town called Uniontown, Alabama, in Perry County, Alabama. Country girl, but I consider myself a Southern Belle for several reasons. Taking care of people is something that is stitched in my fabric. And I think it kind of speaks to the work that I do in the community, the love of my people and making sure that they have the resources to take care of themselves and their families. Just a little background of my family. My grandparents were educators and grandfather was a black farmer. So I spent a lot of my summers in Uniontown helping him deliver fruits and vegetables to those individuals in the community that were unable to get to a local store or come directly to his farmer's market. I remember learning the town, feel like I was a part of the man that ran the town because of just all the great things that he used to do. And just watching him help people, whether that's people in transition or people receive healthy, clean food through his farming efforts, it made me want to be a part of his legacy. Yeah. And so I think with what I currently do now as the CEO of the Rural Health Medical Program, I get to lead out some of that great work that he was doing then.
Well, that's amazing. Like I said, we, of course, here at Closing the Gap, we're firm believers that believe we take care of people, people take care of you. So having a service heart is truly, for me, at the center of wealth creation. Mm-hmm. You have to give in order to receive, I believe. Do unto others, you have them do unto you. So definitely faith-based. Yes. Of course, we have those southern roots, of course, when we grew up in the church as well. So those are all values that, of course, we need to continue to pass down. And, just from hearing a little bit about your background, is obviously those same values are passed down through you.
Absolutely.
So now you've been given a great example of what it means to, be a leader, be a servant of others, and you're continuing to push that message forward in your efforts, and also you being blessed in your career path along the way. So that's always wonderful to hear. So, tell me a little bit about how did you turn into a CEO? What made you want to go that direction? I know you were, of course, in college at Spelmam. Growing and developing at the wonderful institution there in Atlanta, Georgia, one of our prestigious HBCUs, obviously. So what led the transition and the charge to Spelman, and how you kind of got started from there?
Sure. I would definitely say that there were a lot of community moms, community aunts, and that played a role in that. And I watched women from my FBLA teacher instilling what it meant to be a future business leader, participating in Toastmasters and organizations like that with the public speaking, professional development. I also contribute some of that hunger and need to be a leader in my community from other individuals that drew me to organizations such as Culturama, which is overseen by the women of AKA, and then also my guidance counselors, and of course my parents. those individuals saw something in me that at the time I didn't understand, and they positioned me to pull and nurture those things so that one day I can become who I am. Now, my aunties, Renee and Keshee, who are no longer living, they actually attended Spelmam College back in their day.
Okay.
And I just remember growing up hearing the stories of them being on the campus and them finding themselves as young women in their paths, going off to college, specifically that one, and their history there. They had a legacy there as far as being two of the founding members of the chapter of Alpha Kappa Alpha. So I just knew, I wanted to walk in these big shoes, legacy ahead of me. And at the time, I was the only granddaughter, only niece that got accepted to Spelman, so it was a big burden for me. So I knew that I had to get there, get my lesson. I needed to make a name for myself. So joining organizations such as Young Professionals, the NAACP, the Alabama Club, and I was actually a Bonner Scholar, which is a foundation across the nation, and they focus on liberal arts schools and community initiatives. So in college, I had to maintain a community initiative to maintain my scholarship.
Oh, wow.
So it's like my whole life has been around doing community development, community mission work, and me also knowing that as I was poured into, I had to pay it forward.
Well, that's amazing. And one of the things that I hear from you and from a lot of our kind of previous guests, and things that I think lend to success are, the way you were poured into, by aunts, mothers, the community. So we truly had a village that was helping to raise us. And, I can relate to that. My mom put me into a lot of different programs growing up, a lot of things that I didn't want to do, but she forced me into it. People don't believe it, but I was very shy and probably withdrawn. I was very much kind of just rather be seen than not heard, want to sit back in the back at church, not say anything or do anything. And my mom pushed me. Okay. She pushed me into those speaking roles, and I look back at it now and I'm grateful and thankful that she forced me out of my comfort zone.
Absolutely.
Because that was the only way I was going to be able to grow. And now that I sit in the seat that I do now, I'm forever grateful and thankful for those people that poured into me, and not just my mom, but other people in the community that helped me grow and develop into being the person I am here. And we need that more in the community. Definitely needs us all to raise a village. Back at you. Welcome to Hamilton Wealth Advisors, where our goal is to change the financial landscape of the African American community by providing the best of the best in financial professionals to help close the gap on financial wellness, wealth creation, and wealth transference. We're continuing to expand and grow our reach and add qualified advisors to our team. Help us to teach our community how to create generational wealth. We're looking for passionate, selfless, and professional advisors that pride themselves in the core beliefs that education plus expertise leads to proper execution. So if you think this opportunity may be for you, ask yourself this question: what is your why? And if the answer is you want to be a professional successor advisor that makes a positive impact in the lives of all you come into contact with, contact us about joining our team today. As we look to move forward, continue to be a blessing to those who would never come into contact with by creating a successful financial plan today. Welcome back, Closing the Gap, the truth about Black wealth. Of course, I'm your host, Mr. Wilbert Hamilton. I'm here with CEO, Ms. Keshee Smith, and we're going to kind of pick up where we left off. And of course, Keshee, you've been, wearing many hats. You were, obviously been in a situation where you were cultivated and groomed, and also obviously through your own personal hard work and dedication, you continue to push yourself forward and challenge yourself. And, of course, at Spelman, being involved in many different activities, and of course, a member of AKA and being a leader in your own right, and developing that skill set. So it's no shock to me now, kind of knowing some background, why you're a CEO of the Rural Health Medical Program. So tell me how that transition happened and kind of what led you into that and becoming a CEO, because that's not a job we just walk into right out of college.
No, I would definitely say it's not something I walked specifically into, but I will say, because we talked a little bit about faith, it's something that you're prepared for during your journey. And right after college, during college, I had the opportunity of participating in an organization called Inroads. And it was basically for minority students to have summer internships at the Fortune 500 companies. I had the opportunity of working in the healthcare industry with United Healthcare, the Limited Brands, and management. And then my last opportunity was with a company called Accenture. It was an IT consultant company, and I actually got a job offer my senior year. So I was kind of like in, cruise control senior year, just kind of enjoying things, the fruits of my labor. And I walked out with a job, and I was making, I want to say $58,000. And I was like, oh, I'm making more than my mom as a teacher with a master's. And I was just like, I didn't take that lightly. I had the opportunity to travel to different states, work across industries, and what I told myself was I wanted to develop a skill set that was transferable. So I was a change agent. I did communications, training, project management, and I wanted to take that and be able to create my own business and help minority-owned businesses establish themselves. So that was my goal while in that position. I remember I got married halfway into my career. After having my second child, there was no more packing up and traveling to a project. So I started networking and trying to navigate to the enterprise sector, where I had the opportunity of being a HR director. I was located in the Houston office, and I started doing a lot of community engagement work, getting back to my original roots, right? Because I was focused on making money and traveling and trying to get my own business going. But that job allowed me to watch young people come into the company, launch their careers, and it also gave me an opportunity to work with the senior partners to give back to the community. And one event specifically, it was an inner city school where we brought some children in to do like a day in the life as a change agent or a corporate workforce. And I remember watching these two young boys just look around, and they were amazed at the office, the people in suits, and they said, man, I will never be able to be here. And that just kind of, it hit me, and I was like, but they're inner city Houston. I'm small town country girl from Uniontown. Yes, you can. And I remember when we got together for lunch, I shared my story with them, and I remember being in tears. And I said, I'm not operating in my calling. I was supposed to get prepared for where my next steps were gonna lead me. And after that meeting, sharing my story, they asked me to continue to come back and volunteer, which I did. But I started going home after work and preparing to start my own nonprofit to help people in my community. Because what you realize is you're great everywhere else, but no one sees the effort because there's so many of yous in larger cities doing similar work. But if I come back home and do that work, I can impact so many of those children that were me, go off and become great too. And if I'm the example of bringing that skill set and leadership back home, I can push my small town forward as well.
Well, that's amazing. I mean, and it's kind of crazy because, I mean, I tell people all the time, you can look at the stories in the Bible, Jesus had to leave his hometown in order to go and get prepared to come back and help.
Yes.
So a lot of times, we do have to step away
right.
and go through our journeys and to be cultivated and developed and groomed into who we need to be. So now when we come back home, we can be what we're supposed to be.
Absolutely.
And now, of course, you being back home in the role that you're currently in now, as CEO, what has probably been one of your greatest joys for, in coming home?
I would definitely say one of the greatest has been doing the work that's needed. I've been seeing gaps. Like when you visit home, you see that, okay, hey, certain industries have not progressed. Certain everyday resources and needs people have are not being met. So instead of being a person that's having a conversation about it, I get to be one of those people at the table, strategizing, planning, and making it happen. So a little bit about rural health. We are a primary healthcare organization. We receive federal funds and foundation funds, state funds, to basically provide healthcare services for individuals that are classified as indigent, under, and uninsured patients. We take care of those that are insured as well, but we want people who cannot afford to pay for healthcare to get the same access and receive the same treatment as those that do. So I get to have the opportunity to say, hey, when I get to use my Blue Cross Blue Shield card at whatever private practice, that a person without it can come and get that same customer service, same feel, same care. And that has been the greatest joy for me, making sure that all people are treated fairly and equal regardless of their socioeconomic background.
I'm gonna say it better myself. Be back in a minute.